Hello, it's Erica of Herb Arts, and we're here for Sunday demo. I'm going to let people gather. I'm going to keep drinking my tea, which I have back over here. I tried to put it out of the kicking zone. As you may be able to tell, it is bright and sunny out today here in Iowa. Got some nice sunbeams on the wall. Can't really see it, but I've got a photo of my friend Ramona up there. Who's actually a pastor, but she's it was a Vagina Monologues fundraiser, and she's sort of throwing chalk up in the air, and it sort of looks like the sunlight is catching it, so it's quite nice. We'll see who pops on. It was just easier to apply today than to move everything behind me over here so that I could do the drum guarding, and I just decided I'm on a spinning kick right now. Go with it. Need to create more inventory. So before we get to the actual playing today, I thought I would show you this. Not sure how the sun is gonna. So this is, I think, Sonora or Sedona was the name of it. It's a bat from, it's hard to, I can't tell if it's showing up or not with the sunlight. I got a little glare on my screen. It is a bat from HM Fiberworks that I got at Hoosier Hills. I got two of them, actually. I spun up one of them as a single, and then took a little bit of it and tried some spiral playing, which I have around here somewhere, and I'm not quite sure exactly where. Okay. But then the rest of it, and for a core for that, I used this red comb cotton, which is the same one I used for this. You can see it sort of poking out there at the top. Okay. But this is a highly textured yarn. It's got all sorts of blubs and slubs and all sorts of things in it. Nice dark sort of moody colors, good for fall. So I'll be skating that up maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. What I am working on now is, and that one you'll notice was on a larger bobbin, one of my jumbo bobbins, mainly because some of the pieces were larger, and I just wanted to make sure they could get through the orifice without bumping or anything like that. So what I'm doing today is I posted a photo of it. I have the two bobbins of Coldwater Springs, also from HM Fibers. I got that one. Oh, here comes a little snotty kitty. Come on in, Heloise. Come in. Come on. Come on. The wheel's not moving. You can come in. Yeah, hi. I don't think you can see her on camera. Come over here. Come climb. Come climb. You like climbing. So you may get to see her. You may not. You gonna come on up? Come up here. Come up here. If you come up here, people will see you on camera. Come on. You can do it. There you go. And you see her? There. She's sort of, there she's checking out the bobbin. And those two, I got two bats of it as well, and those were ones I got. She had a sale at one point with some really nice discounted prices, so I got those, which means I won't have to charge quite as much for the yarn. Quite nice. So I started playing this. I did a little TikTok video, and then I put a video on Instagram, different music than the TikTok, so you can go hear two different types of music. I think I posted one in Wafa, and that one is the music, that's the TikTok one, so it's the music with TikTok. So I have different sort of music going with different ones. And then I went and quickly deleted those all because so I'd have enough room to do the demo. And then realized I wanted to do one as a reel on my guild page. So right before this, I did a little short video, which I haven't posted yet, but I didn't want to use up all my my memory. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm on another jumbo bobbin, mainly because each bat was 2.6 ounces, which if you add together, that's 5 ounces. And my bobbins, my standard size bobbins on the Louette hold about 4 ounces. So I had to use the jumbo here to ply onto. You can see Heloise in the background. Okay, there she is. And hopefully she'll just lie there. Okay. So I almost always, let me see my feet down here. I almost always spin barefoot or socks in the winter. But so we're plying, so we're going to the left or counterclockwise. And when I spun these singles, I'm hoping you can see okay. When I spun these singles, I purposely let the fiber do what it wants, right? So some of it is thin. It's not an official thick and thin, but there are thin bits and other bits. There's a couple slubby bits as well. There's some silk noil in here. I think it's merino, BFL, and silk noil, if I recall correctly. But what I find useful is if I get to a thick bit, like, I don't know if you can see that there. I have a thick bit right there. Okay. And the other one that's plying with it is thinner, though it is working into a thicker bit. And while I usually keep things at an angle from one another, okay, what I like to do when I get to the thicker bits, they're less likely to pull apart, is to make this one straighter and the smaller one wrap around it. It just works out better. Okay, so we'll get started again here, and then we'll let that happen. Still occasionally get parts that try and fall apart. Okay. And then I always try and look down to see what's coming. At some point I should measure this angle. I know a lot of people ply with one hand and keep their tension that way. I just like doing it with two. It works better for me. So, and pop on and say comments. I don't see any comments yet, but if you have questions, let me know. I know this is not as thrilling as making a bat. Other thing I have to always remember is to watch how the fiber is piling up on the bobbin. I always like to, when I sort of pause, I usually come forward a little bit to see if the twist wants to come forward. There's a thin bit right here, okay? And also up here. So I'm just going to sort of twist it forward just a little bit, send that energy towards me instead of kinking up back here. It's not too bad. It kinks a little bit, but not too badly. But like the piece I just put on here is pretty thick versus the other piece next to it, which is pretty thin. So I'm feeling my bobbin coming towards me. So because this doesn't have the hooks, I have to use two hands to actually move the guide here just forward a little bit. And then I can go on again. So I was placing the other day the application counts of I've gotten 2 in. Finally got the one to Ileana. I'm hoping I didn't wait too long to get that one in. It's for next May. I've submitted an application for Thieves Market in Coralville, which is in Iowa, first weekend in December. Oh, I do want to say in the back of my mind as I'm doing this, I am chanting to myself, treadle slower, because I tend to treadle very fast, and because I have to keep an eye out for the thickness, I have to tell myself to slow down a little bit. Slower is always better anyways. So I got that one done. The platform for it was, hello Anita. platform for the one in Corvo was one of these sort of big national arts festival application portals. So I'm getting notifications about shows in Texas. I'm like, I don't want to apply to a show in Texas. But it didn't like my, oftentimes I have screenshots of the photos that I like to submit, which, if you're just sending someone, a Google Doc and you throw stuff in and, or you're just sending some photos by email, they don't care what the resolution is, right? As long as they can see the product. This was like, you had to have this by this many pixels recommended, and I tried to submit the screenshots and it said failed because it was, they were the wrong size. So I had to hunt. I was like, I hope I have not deleted the originals in my camera roll, because I tried and clean my camera roll out. And fortunately I was able to find the ones I wanted. So we'll see how it goes. Some of the language they used, it was very clear that they were not interested in craft items. Thank you. Yeah, and sometimes I'll even do thick and thin, and then I'll ply with a single thick and thin, and then ply with something like, well, that's what this was. I guess you could call this thick and thin. I mean, it was all sorts of diameters. And that I use the combed cotton yarn with it. But you can see how it sort of builds up here. So I just gotta keep remembering. It's easier when I'm spinning, because particularly when I do bats, I tear off links. So when I get to the end of the length, it means move the guide or move the hook, and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's very. I mean, I don't know if I had to do with the computer system or resolution, and you could definitely tell it was an arts event, because they wanted, I didn't have to write an artist statement, which I found kind of odd. Because there's another art one that I do where I do have to do some sort of thing. But I had 200 words, or was it 200 characters? Maybe it was 200 words. No, it was characters. I think it was characters or something. Where I had to just, it was, I think, asking me to describe materials. And so I had, I was, the items I'm planning on doing are the tie-dye clothes and the yarn and the bats. And so, that doesn't give you a lot of room. You have one sentence per each item. And so I was like, okay. And so, I have having to go back and okay, what's a shorter word I can use? What words can I eliminate? Get rid of all the adjectives. Because I was trying to describe, and just, description is, you use adjectives a lot, and that didn't work. So we'll see how that goes. But, when you uploaded, you had to create a library, a portfolio library. And one of the things you entered was you have to have the dimensions of the pieces. I, of course, just wrote 0 because not applicable. And then they wanted to know, so dimensions of pieces, then they want to know the year created. So it's like artwork, right? So, yeah, it's but not nearly as long as a college application. And so I finally got it to what I was entering. Fortunately, it was not. I have this issue with my address. It is an unusual address. And now that a lot of websites use, they have this sort of computer that double checks when you enter an address. And I often get, that is not an address. You don't live there. That's not an address. I'm like, it is an address. If you put that on the envelope or the box, it will get there. I've actually even had, I think it was a FedEx, it was either a FedEx or UPS package. I think it was something from Nordstrom's. And it wouldn't take the address I normally do. And so because I've seen it occasionally, sometimes you can use a half. So 97 half and a half or whatever. And it just, actually that's not what I wrote. I wrote the street address, and then on the second line where you put apartment numbers, I almost never put my apartment number there, but I usually put it on the main line. But I wrote unit 2B, which is what my unit is. And it actually says on my front door in big letters, street address, 2A and 2B, because there's the two of us up here. And I get the package, and someone has written in ballpoint pen on the package, "This address does not exist." And I'm like, excuse me, it's right there on the door. The local post office has no trouble delivering. It's obviously some computer somewhere doesn't like non-street addresses. And this isn't an apartment complex, right? So I'm in a condo that, and there's just a handful of condos. So it's not like it's a big condo community where everything's sort of been loaded in. No, we're just sort of odd. Also because some of the condos are small like mine, and so there's an A and an B. And other times there's just a half. I think the people who have a full slice of the building are like the street number and a half. It's very, very weird. So yeah. And but then the other fun thing yesterday. So I went to you may have heard this in my video last night when I did my opening of my sort of squishy mail. I went and picked up my mail yesterday from my unit on the street because they no longer will deliver inside our building. And there were 4 pieces. There was the package from Teddy. That was the only thing in my mailbox that was actually for me. I had one thing for the wife who lives next door. I had one thing for the husband who lives next door. And one thing for the boutique downstairs. We all, by the way, live in the same street number, but we all have, of course, different designations. And I was just like, okay, obviously the relief mail carrier was working because they don't usually mess up quite that badly. Though there was a couple years ago, I think it was during the pandemic, I ordered something from Amazon, and they, I checked my notifications, and it's been delivered. And so I go out to the mailbox, and it's not there, right? And there's no key. There's these little, parcel things where packages get delivered. And there was no package. There was no key to whatever. And so, I wait a day. I go to the post office and say, okay, it says, according to Amazon and tracking information, just double checking my ply here. I think that's pretty good. Okay. That it's been delivered. Okay. But it's not there. And, the person at the desk says, okay, let's look. Yeah, it says it was delivered to the unit and put in the parcel box. I'm like, yeah, well, if it's put in a parcel box, it's not been put in mine. They're like, but it's been delivered here. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have it. And so finally they called the postmistress, and she said, well, okay, let's go. I think she rolled her eyes a little bit. I suspect that it was a new employee or an employee that hadn't been on very long. And so she actually goes down with me to the unit because we're only a couple blocks from I only live a couple blocks from the post office. And she said, and so she looks and says, okay, no, you're right. And so she opens up the whole unit, and there is my package sitting in. She takes the front off. There's my package sitting in one of the cubbies. And then she's sort of scouting around all the other sort of open, she can look at all the cubbies. She's like, here's a key, and that's the key that fits there. And it was someone who, like, I think it was one of the snowbirds. We get some people who don't come down, don't live here permanently. And so, so she gives me my package, but then she starts peeking, and there's like, everything is like in the wrong box. Everything. It was like everything. And it wasn't just a case of being like off by one box. There were some that, there's 2 units beside each other. There was some stuff in this unit that belonged in this unit. It was kind of crazy. So that happened for a bit. And then I think they either got an experienced carrier or our carrier finally learned how to do it. But I can usually tell when we've got somebody's off for a holiday or something, and, weird things get delivered. I often get, not the people I share a landing with, but the next number down the street. I often get junk mail for them, and I just toss it back in the outgoing mail. So I am liking this. I like the colors. They're nice and soft. This is going to go in inventory unless I really mess up somewhere. You see Heloise over there, and she's so cute. She was down in the sun earlier, and I'm like, it's like 80 something, gonna be 90 something degrees. Why are you sitting in the sun? But she likes it. Okay, gotta slow down. So today I'm gonna do the October WAFA application. I am hoping I have not missed the deadline for the Midwest Fiber Festival, which I meant to do like 2 months ago and completely forgot. So we'll see how that goes. And then I need to do Waterloo Center for the Arts, which is the other arts festival that I do. I did okay last year. I made my feedback a little bit more, but we'll see how it goes. It was my first year there, and I don't have a sense of how much, it's like repeat customers, like they trust you now because they've seen you there for a couple years. But it's a local show. It's nice they give you the whole day beforehand to set up. I do like that. And I brought my spinning wheel last time, and I just spun the whole time, so. And I think if I have more woven things, and maybe some felted things, I'll attract more people in. Also, since I'm going to have, last time I only had the clothes and the drawstring bags and the scarves. So hopefully if I've got the yarn and the bats, I might draw a little more interest. So yeah, so I'm liking the way those colors look. Yeah, she has had, I know next door there's 2 cats who often go down and look at the street door and sit by the glass. And I have one that sort of, I go like this with my finger, and they do their paw against it. It's very cute. But that one is a calico, very, very, like, she makes Heloise look like Heloise has no hair. Right? This is an extremely fluffy cat. And they shaved her for the summer. And so first time I saw her after the shave, I was like, oh my God, there's like almost no cat there. She's so fluffy. And so I keep thinking maybe next year I might get her shaved, but I always worry because usually when they shave cats like that, they knock them out, and because she's got some breathing issues, I always worry, if that could be a problem. But she's got some mats that I'm trying to work out. She's got one sort of in her, where her thigh attaches to her torso. Sort of underneath her leg there, and she's not happy with me trying to get rid of it. Usually she doesn't. I think if I persisted, she might bite me. She usually just hisses at me, and bats at me. So, and that's a bat with a 1T, not 2, of course. So, there's little flecks of purple in here, like a lavender. I quite like that. Slowing down, slowing down. Okay, so I think the sun has moved enough that you can see a little better. I've made my WAFA demo events for September. Probably tonight I'll make the Sunday demo ones for September. I have to make my WAFA sale event that is the Saturday. I think it's at 4:30 Central. I have to double check the time. And now that I have Euphoria Mary Woolwright decided upon, I'm probably going to do some stickers, because I also need to get a few other stickers that I've run out of. And I do some through Avery, and I do some through Vistaprint. And they're both running sales this weekend, because it's Labor Day. Other fun thing I did today was I was looking at website for Cozy Colorworks, Sandy Anderson, because I keep telling myself I'm gonna knit a bright side shawl, which is one of those assigned pooling. It's the simplest assigned pooling one. It's just the one where you knit, and then when you hit the other color you purl, and so I was looking at those, but I noticed that she had a new shawl kit called Go Configure. And it's a one skein. I like one skein projects. Right? It's a one skein. You do it with fingering, but you do it with like a size 8 needle. It's got some, the basic kind of lace that I like, the sort of net lace. The knit 2 together yarn over. And it's set up so that, you get the pattern with it and you pick which skein you want. But as I was going through her, inventory, I realized the skein I wanted was not listed under that particular kit. So I sent her a PM, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I got to dye some more up, but gives me a reason to dye some more up. So certainly we can do that. Just write it in the comment section." So I'm going to give that one a try. Has anyone else tried the Go Configure? It looks like it's probably, similar to other things that I sort of have knitted, sort of created myself with, net lace and garter stitch. But it just looked really fun. Hers, the sample that she had on her site, was very bright. I think she used Party Time, which is one of her really, it's like the whole box of Corolla crayons type of thing. And I wanted a little more, I still wanted some color, but I wanted something a little more subdued so that you could see the pattern. I actually went on Ravelry and looked at it, and there's a lot of examples that are very, very colorful, but then other people have done them in solid colors, and you can really see the stitch work and all of that. And I really like that. So I think I'm going to go with, I think it's called Broken Heart, which appears to be like a dark gray. I couldn't tell if it was charcoal or like a slate gray, but it's darker, with little flecks of like reddish purple. And that just seemed like a nice sort of understated one. And if I can finish it, I can have it for the event I'm doing on October 5th, which is a local ladies' night out. Because, that happens around here. Okay, let me move this a little bit here. Now it's a matter of just sort of filling in the valleys and all of that. Oh, she's gone to sleep. Yeah, the other thing I want to do this weekend is some more cooking. I've got some things that need to be cooked up and get some things in the freezer for when I get too busy to eat right. I can just pull stuff out and stick it in the microwave. I found some really nice mushrooms. So I'm going to do a beef barley mushroom soup. And I'm going to do, there were these chicken quarters on sale. And so I'm going to cook those up. Pop some of them just cooked in the freezer. And then some I'm going to shred the meat on and make some black bean chicken enchiladas. We'll see how this goes. I haven't made enchiladas before, so I've watched other people make them. But I got some cilantro. I got a little bit of cheese. Got my corn tortillas. I'm a big corn. I don't eat flour tortillas. I only eat corn. And I'm trying to decide if I should cook them and freeze them or freeze them to pull out and put in the oven. I've got those little, they're not Pyrex, but they're Pyrex knockoff dishes with the blue lids, the blue plastic lids. That I've got some ones that are fairly shallow, so I could get a whole bunch of, several servings of the enchiladas in one. Let's see how that's laying. That's pretty good. It's got a little bit of kink to it, but not bad. I want to get back in this part here. I am seeing some of the bobbins center on both bobbins, so we'll see how close they are. Okay, now the way this is built, it's really hard to get in this back corner up here. So I may not be able to fill it as much as I want to. And I don't, of course, want to hit the arms of the flyer. In case you were wondering, Heloise is sleeping on my futon. I've got a coconut core latex mat that I use on the floor so that air can pass to the underneath of the futon, because otherwise you could have some unpleasant surprise when you move your futon. And then I've got a futon, but I've also got a topper, all wool, by the way. So, okay. Thank you, Anita. Okay, we're getting there, but I'm going to fill in the rest of, I don't think there's really any room up here, but I got room over here. So we're going to keep adding over here. And I always find that with these jumbo bobbins, just the arms are a little, this should be a little bit wider, right? Because this overlaps the end of the bobbin. So you can't actually fill the bobbin all the way up. It's rather annoying. Now, if you're watching this on a laptop, you'll probably be able to see what I'm doing a lot better than if you're watching on a phone. Oh yeah, I can see the end. It's going to be a little bit, but I can still see the end. Just trying to see which bobbin's going to run out first. Anybody have any exciting plans for Labor Day, if you're one of the U.S. people watching? Otherwise, for everybody else in the world, it's just another Monday. But we're supposed to stay with hot weather until Wednesday, and then it's going to drop down into the 70s. So I'm very excited about that. I want to work on my basement organization, but I'm not doing it in this. I mean, it's cool down there, but I'm not doing that in this, in what's 90-degree temperature. Humidity's not as bad as it has been, but okay, let's see what this is looking like. It looks a lot. It looks very Monet, doesn't it? It's making me think of Monet watercolors and that Monet garden. Yeah, it's going to be a full bobbin. Okay, reminding myself to go slower. A little bit of purple in here. There's that light purple, but then there's also very dark purple as well. Particularly the green silk oil, I'm really liking. Gives you a nice texture in the yarn. Oops, I'm getting a little fat there. Let's see if I think that's okay. A little bit too much twist there. I'm going to pull it back like this. And pass it along. There. Oh, I liked how that little bit there worked out. Oh yeah, definitely time to move the guide. It's getting a little snug there. Yeah, I'm happy with this, how this turned out. It'll hopefully attract someone at one of the shows. I had thought about adding yarn down at the Waverly Market, but I'm not sure I want to take the 20, I'd have to mark up the prices. They take 20% from me, and as most of you know, when you price hand-spun yarn, rarely is it priced where you should price it. I tend to charge twice what the materials cost me, which means I'm not really paying myself for the labor. And so taking 20% off of that is a bit hard. Okay, that's a little better. A little kinky, but not bad. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm almost at the end. So I'm just going to fill in this part right here. We'll see which bobbin finishes first. They're looking. They were both the same weight. I think they were 2.6 ounces each, but I'd have to double check that. To see which one's going to end first. They're neck and neck. There's not going to be a lot left. Oh, yep, we're done. We're done. Oh, yep. Okay. So I just hit the leader on that one. So the one closest is empty. The one furthest away only has this amount left. That is that's close enough to be even. I mean, practically. I was gonna leave that one there on the floor. And then braid the end just a little bit. And then do my little loopy knot. That gives it a place to hang on to on the Swift. It's a little over twisted. I'll just let it untwist just a little bit. And then we'll roll it on. And here we go. Done. So close, I know. So close. But you can see, like, I don't know if you can see, like, the little bits of purple right there. You know, it's mainly the blue and the green, but just little bits of purple, little bits of white from the silk noil. There's a couple different colors of silk noil in here, so I'm really happy with this. This is quite nice. Actually, I'm just going to put it back on here so I can skein it. I usually skein it from Brigide. I just put her on like that and then put the brake on. Yeah. Like that. Pull her over and then pull from this side here. So that is how that works. But isn't she adorable? Look at her. Pet, 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 pet. Okay, so I'm going to take... So I've been having trouble with the tripod, but now I can actually see what people are writing. So like that. She's very pretty. Yarn's pretty too, but yeah, I got red enchilada sauce. Okay. Yeah, I don't like really spicy, so I'm not gonna like soup it up with the enchilada sauce. So yeah, I'll point you this way so you don't get quite as much of the piles of stuff behind me. So thank you very much for showing up today. Oh yeah, that was 45 minutes. So otherwise, I will be doing my usual Wednesday morning over in Wafa on Wednesday. I'll get the events all, set up and so forth. And if you're anyone interested, you're in Wafa, Sweater Support Group is tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. So I will be running that as well. I'll be probably spinning. Who knows? I don't know what I'm doing. That's like 3 hours from now. Who knows what I will be doing? Okay, so you all have a great Labor Day. Okay. Yes, she is adorable. Let's see, where is she? Where is she? Hey there. She's like, go away, Mom. Okay. So, otherwise, yes, Bad Skylight. Take care, and I will see you around on Facebook.